We have heard Muslims say that the Prophet Muhammad was the best man that ever walked on the face of this earth. In fact, for a Muslim, when put side by side with Jesus, they will always say that Muhammad is greater than Jesus. I've also heard Muslims say that Muhammad was created before every other being, but he was kept in heaven until when he was revealed. Well, these are all the beliefs of Muslims that we cannot find either in the Bible or in the Quran. But here it is, with all the paintings and the washings of the character of Muhammad. The Hadith seems to say something contrary. The Hadith seems to give a better light into who the Prophet Muhammad was. Well, let's consider Hadith Sahih al-Bukhari number 3326. Take note that this is a strong Hadith believed and accepted by the Muslim world. Hadith Sahih Bukhari number 3326 says, magic was worked on Allah's messenger so that he began to imagine that he had done a thing which he had not done. Now, here is the question. If Muhammad was under magical influence, how can his revelations be trusted? How can his revelations be trusted if the Hadith says he was under magical influence? Again, this undermines the reliability of his prophetic consciousness, because we are saying here in the Hadith that he began to imagine that he did some things, imagine that he said some things, whereas he didn't say it. Could it mean also that the Prophet Muhammad would have later said that the things believed in the Quran and ascribed to him, he never said so? Is it not possible by the judgment of this Hadith that he would have come up to say, hey man, I don't know this Quran you brought because I was under the influence of magic and I did these things, or I thought I did these things, whereas I didn't do them or I didn't say them. Lastly, we would contrast this with Jesus. He was never manipulated. He was never possessed, and he was never deceived. Even the Quran and the Hadith agree that Jesus was born pure. And again, they agree that of all men born, of all humans born of a woman, there is none that is born without being touched by the devil, except Isa ibn Maryam. And we believe Jesus is the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords. No magic works on him. Amen.